so close, yet so far away from completing this series. Hey guys, it's me, Speedlet Sonic, and welcome back to another Childhood Plarail Trains status video. It's that time of the year again, guys. Going over every single train that I managed to restore during the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series. And today, I'm recording this the day before the monthly mark, but by the time, today marks 1.5 years since the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series has officially begun on my YouTube channel. Well, it's been a lot. I mean, can you believe this amount of trains that I have? I mean, it's crazy. See, I'm so close to finishing. I'm only 3 trains away from being finished. Well, it'll be 2 soon because well, you know what I mean. Well, of course, if you've seen my last episode, but anyway. So before we go on with all the trains that I managed to fix up over the years, let's go over with what trains are left. Now we only have 2 more trains left of my childhood left to restore, starting out from the duplicates of Blue 883 and 922. Now we're starting out with Blue 883. This is one of the trains I owned as a kid, but of course, I don't know what happened exactly with some of the pieces that ended up missing. The base plates are missing, the darker shaded ones than the other one, but we'll go over that later. And then I was able to get, and as well, I'm missing the cover for the back car, the missing back car top, which is a bit disappointing with how I don't have that. So I'm going to have to use a temporary placeholder at least until I manage to find the other one. And as for 922, what's missing? That train is missing 3 minor pieces. Of course, with the red wheels, and the missing intermediate car back clamp lock. That's 2. There's a 3rd, which is on the inside. This piece right here. It's meant to be in that dark blue color, but I don't have it. Ugh. Pretty annoying with how some of these trains haven't been finished yet. But these duplicates are the only 2 that are left. And then finally, out of the trains of 2024, which of course there's only 1 of now, and that is Thomas Unit 2. Now this train is just only missing its Annie and Clarabelle passenger cars, but they're going to arrive tomorrow, so then of course the next month's status video will get that over and done with. Hopefully that should get that down. So yeah, of course just get that done easy peasy, and then be done with the series forever. But then I got to get silver and gold plated trains for the other groups. Now then, with that, with going over the status reminder of what's missing, let's go over every single train. It's time to go over every single train that I managed to restore over the past 1.5 years within the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series. Starting off with the trains before I started with the series. Starting off with 8E03, which nothing was really wrong with it. It's just the motor I thought was burnt out until I gave it a bit of a running start, and then eventually it fixed itself and I was able to get it working again. So technically, I guess it's not really one that counts within the series. I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of hard to remember about with that train and issues, but it was in the series, I guess. I don't really know. And then we're on to E531. This is a train that I got with 2 others during my time when I was still going to Windsor Learning Center, along with EF 510-4 and EF 6654, which I kind of dubbed as the Windsor Trio. Now with this, I had the motor salvaged, but issue with this one, I had the motor salvaged, but I was able to get the motor back and be able to get it working again. Same thing with EF 510, E257, which of course that motor was salvaged, but I was able to get it working again. and the train works well. And it's for EF 510-501. Multiple pieces were salvaged. The passenger cars were used for EF 81, and the motor was used for another train. I don't really know what exactly it was doing with that one, but eventually, I eventually put the pieces, gave the pieces back to the train to make it work properly again. So yeah. And now we're going on to the trains of my childhood that were being restored during the time of the series. Starting out with 100, which of course, like undergoing similar issues with the motor being salvaged. It was pretty easy to get that train back in when I got like a bunch of different parts in 2024 that I got the train working again. 800, then we're on to 800. This one is missing like multiple pieces of the intermediate cars, like some of them got lost or broke. I don't know what happened. And as well with the motor bits of motor bits went missing. I don't know what happened with that one. Kind of weird. But of course I did get this train along with as a gift from my aunt. And I don't know what happened to most of the parts. Eventually I got new ones and replaced it. And then next is on to EF 510-4. Now with this one, this train's motor was also salvaged eventually, and the clamps were also salvaged. Maybe the wheels from some bits, I forget what exactly happened with that one, but I eventually was able to restore it. And then next up is the EF 6654. Some motor was salvaged, and I lost the green crate part and whatever, so it was disappointing with how I haven't been able to restore the old one, but eventually I got new pieces to get that one working properly. So yeah, it wasn't that bad. And then next up is N700. Now this one is a bit is a similar situation with AE03, except the motor gave out permanently. It refused to work. Of course, with going under reconstruction, then I had to clean everything. I had to like wash it with like vinegar and then like wipe it down. I think let it soak in vinegar and then just wipe it down, and apparently I think it killed some of the motors. I don't know what happened, but I mean, and I don't think it killed all the motors. I think it killed N700s, or it was like really old. I honestly don't know what happened with it. Eventually I got a new one to replace it, but the sound cars are broken, which is one thing that I can't change. And the next up is C56-160. Now with this one is a bit weirdly unexpected. Similar issues. I mean, most parts went missing. Most of the parts went missing. I still have the motor thing. I mean, these pieces were like broken from the original one that I had. The motor still worked until it eventually gave out on itself, and then I eventually threw it away. Then eventually I got a new full set to replace it, and now I have it working in my collection again. Next up is E926 East. This one, well, the passenger cars I still have remained intact. I ended up salvaging some parts a little bit. Unfortunately, the motor pieces, motor bit part went missing, and I don't know what happened with it. Eventually, I got a new one on Totally Thomastown site, which I, of course, shout out to him for help, for sending me, for being, of course, of being a customer of his. Being able to get that train fixed. And then next up is 01. Now with this one, this is another old train of my childhood. I don't entirely know what happened with this one. I lost everything to it when I was a kid, and I haven't seen any of the parts to it in years, which is extremely disappointing with how that happened. Now next up is 922. Now I think this one I had like multiple parts salvaged from it, and some of them went missing. It's kind of disappointing, but eventually I got new pieces to replace the old ones, and it works good. Which of course I am proud which I am happy that the train still works. And then next up is on to 200. Now this train has had some parts salvaged, like the other trains. Like there was some other issues with it, that of course with the motor was like one time, of course another thing with how I burnt out some motors, I wanted to try to make my trains go faster when I was a kid, so I used like 9-volt batteries to make them go faster. It did work, but when I wanted to switch them back, the motor was dead, and I have no idea how that happened. Some motors still work fine. That was like with a handful of other trains. Of 100, 200, EF81, And I don't think any other trains. Oh wait, I think 205 I also tried to do that as well. The other trains that I wasn't able to do it on because they only had double A's were 500, 700, 0. Oh wait, no, 400 was also there, so it was only 500, 700, 0. I was only able to do that until I eventually got all the trains for 060 Yukata's lineup, which I have in one of my drawers over there. I'm not showing those trains in that one because I've already showed it in the last 3 months ago. My last status in full completion, and that's already done. The next up is JR313, and now I don't know exactly what happened with this one. I mean, I have very faint memories of this, but one of the memories that I remember is that one of the memories of this train that I do recall about having this train is that when I was being watched over by my cousin while my parents and my sister were going out, I don't entirely know what happened because I was a little kid back then. My cousin Kyle was watching over me, and I played with this train a bit. The only pieces that I had to that train left, the paint was scrubbed from the remaining parts, and I lost the sound car, so I don't know what happened with it. Eventually, I got a new full set to replace it, and it works good. I'm glad to have that one replaced because that is a rare train. The next up is Purple 500. Now this one underwent similar issues with 800, with the motor pieces going missing, and I have no idea what happened. I also lost the motor shell eventually. I don't know what happened with that one. Extremely disappointing with how that ended out. And the next up is E3. Now with this one was a little bit tricky about this. With the original battery shell, I think it was falling apart eventually, and I wanted to try to turn it to like the Drill E3 kind of custom from 060 Yukata's lineup, but that didn't really work out as well I thought it would. So eventually I just gave up on it, and then I moved on and tried to replace it. I did, but that shell was brittle, and then eventually it was destroyed. It was brittle, and I put it aside. Eventually got a new one, and I used that to replace the old one, and the brittle one fell apart on itself eventually because I broke it. I threw it on the hardwood floor. Yeah, I know, it's a bit weird. Anyway, next up is TX1000. Now, this is another childhood train that I have faint memories about, but I know that I did have this because I did have the passenger cars intact. The motor, I think, was salvaged, and I had the battery shell, but I don't know, and I lost it somewhere around my house, and I don't know where it went, and the motor pieces as well. Eventually, I got a new full set to replace the old one. Eventually, I replaced the set in full, and now I have the full replacement. Next up is Blue 883. Now, this one is a bit difficult to undergo. Now, this one had a bit of rocky history. When I did own this, I think I had like two of them. I don't know what happened, but of course I was able to fully restore this train. I think it was like sun damage or something, I don't know. And as you can see from the darker base plates, I was able to get the train fixed. I don't know if it's it's like a really dark gray, not black, and that's like a lighter gray, like a light dark gray. So yeah. So of course, when when I found out that the E3 motor was like brittle, the new E3 replacement motor was brittle, that I just decided to salvage the parts and use it to fix up Blue 883 normally. This is well of another reason because when I ordered Blue 883 last year, fortunately I didn't get it, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was like something with the mailing or something, because I'm not entirely sure what happened. It wasn't my control. It wasn't in my control, which was really frustrating. And then going on to the second to the last, EMDF7A. Now, this is a train is a really rare one of a North American exclusive of a playset called the Super Deluxe City Railway set, and I owned that one when I was a kid. It came along with E3 two different trains, and a whole bunch of tracks, which is how I guess it kind of like how I developed my interest in play rail train stuff, I guess. Now with this, I had very little amounts of the parts that remained of the MDF-7A. It was just the motor, shell, and the base plate. All the other pieces were salvaged or broken. Eventually, I was able to find new parts of this train, the new passenger cars, and the new motor shell, so I was able to completely replace it. And now it works really well. So I'm glad that this train has not fully gone. And then last but not least, we have N1000. Now this train has been one of the more difficult ones. I only had the intermediate car left of it from when I was left of it for over a year and a half when doing the series. Apparently it was the only piece I had left of that train, but I was able to find full set, and I managed to order a full set of Mercari. This one I didn't know if it was going to work or not, because with it not really working right, and I was frustrated, and well, I kind of had a bit of a meltdown and everything. So yeah, it was really disappointing with how I reacted. But eventually I figured out the issue about with the must have not been handled right with the delivery. So eventually I was able to get that train patch fixed up again and get it running to show proof that it turns on. So yeah, that is all the childhood trains I managed to complete over the series. That works incredibly well. Now next up is the trains of 2023 that I managed to fix. Starting out with 300, this train was the only issue that it was wrong. That was it was only one wrong thing, and that was the base plate for the motor. It was the curved one instead of the square one. Kind of weird with how that is. Some trains do have the square plates instead of the circular ones, especially for trains like 300. And the next up is 485. Now this one, there was nothing really wrong with it. It was just the motor, because it was meant to have a 2-speed motor, but when I got it for Christmas in 2024, it was the wrong motor. And I didn't even realize it. But no, it was in Christmas of 2023. That ended up, yeah. It was one of the last trains, and the fewer trains that I had left to fix up. So yeah, it was pretty frustrating with when I realized about that, but eventually I was able to get like another motor and replace that. And I switched out the 1-speed motor for EF81, because that one kept making an annoying noise, and I had to switch it out. Next up is 700. Now, I didn't want to get this one, but I mainly only used it for like the placeholder for another 700 train until I was able to get the proper one of 0601 Yukata's lineup. Eventually, I was able to get it. It took a little while to try to get my hands on it. Eventually, and of course, when I did get the proper one, I ended up salvaging the parts to use for 500, the legacy variant of 500. Eventually, I got other parts, and I was able to get new parts and fix up 700 and switch back out the parts from that train over to 700, from 500 over to 700 again. Now, next is a 3 for the E217, E231, and 211. Now I got these 3 trains of like multiple parts of some of them, while trying to get the legacy variant of 211. Well, I didn't have any trains of 211 until I got this train in 2023. Then I realized that there were a few things off. That for E217, that train was missing the passenger cars. That I only had the motor car parts and everything. The motor itself was like really weak, and I think I threw it out. I don't know what I did with it. E231 was missing its motor, so it was just the passenger cars, and the sound car wasn't working. And 211, it didn't have the proper passenger cars. The ones that did have belonged to the legacy variant of 211 that I was looking for. Eventually, I got the proper pieces to make that one working right. Now next up is 0. With this one, I didn't want to get a 0, but of course I ended up, because I wanted to try to get the legacy variant of 0 on eBay. Eventually I did, but the motor died out, so I eventually had to salvage the motor from this one, make the one work, and then eventually when I got another variant of another Train of Zero to fix up that one, I switched out from this one, that one, switched out that one, and gave the Zero train back its motor. And then finally for EF65, this train had its motor and passenger car salvaged, similar situation like EF510-501. Now, what I did with those pieces was that I used for EF81 the passenger cars, and the motor I used for EF510-501. Eventually, I got a new set to replace the old one, and it works good. So at least it didn't end out all that bad after that one. It was pretty fat. It was pretty quick eventually when I got it. It was the last train of 2023 that I had to finish. I think I finished up the lineup in 2024, I think. I forget when I did. Anyway, next up is the trains of 2024. Now, it's split up with the Thomas trains that I managed to finish up, but we'll go over those ones later. First up is EF6019, its first unit. Now, when I first got, I was getting like a bunch of parts on like a bulk sale and a thing from a seller or two. I forget what exact on eBay. That I got the motor, and I thought it was like for like a 5-piece train bit, of like with the two darker pieces, and then like 3 with the 3 green, kind of like similarly matching the model of 485. But that was a different one, so it was the wrong thing, and it was missing 5 cars. So, crate carrier, a tank, whatever that, express carrier, the red wagon car, and the car flatbed thing, whatever. Yeah, it was a bit of a lot. I got the parts one by one eventually. All the pieces except for the crates, a carrier thing, or the other red wagon car. I think it was the red wagon car. Yeah, I think that might be it. I forget what it was. But anyway, next is the Hyper City Rescue Arctic Liner. Now with this one, was a bit unexpected, because I got this one when completing up EF6019's first unit. That I ended up getting that train. There was one piece missing with the motor, that being like the windshield piece. This one that was missing from the motor, the Arctic Liner dud motor that I was using earlier on in the videos. That actually belonged with that, but the motor was weak. It couldn't really push well and go up ramps, so I eventually replaced it with a new motor, and that works really well. Now, next up is onto the yellow-wheeled variant of E2. Yellow-wheeled red stripe, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a pink striped yellow-wheeled variant, but whatever. Now with this of E2, I got this with the white 700 and the remaining pieces and new pieces to replace 500. I didn't expect that I would have to repair E2 yellow wheel variant, but the only thing that it was missing was of the yellow wheel base plate. Eventually, I got it from when I ordered a train of 400, and then of course with ordering and eventually using that I used the as well with fixing up Zero. I guess I don't know what entirely happened. That I was able to salvage up the parts, get the yellow wheel variant of E2 work properly fixed, and get 200 working again. So yeah, it took me a little while with trying to get all those pieces. It was really frustrating. And then next up is HGS-07. Now, this train came within a 10-train bulk sale that I bought on eBay, along with like another variant of another train of 800, a gray 700 that's light. It's up. Of course, with HGS-07, I got E6, another variant of E2, which is like the gray wheel pink stripe that I mistook that I could have used to finish up the gray wheel red stripe variant of E2, but we'll go into that later. Other trains have consisted of another one of E926 East, gray variant of E3, E3 2000 really, another purple variant of 500, 923, and E4. As well at the same time as when 400 arrived, the other one that I was going to use, so I wanted to wait until I had that before ordering the other parts to salvage. You'll use those other parts for salvage and get the other train working properly. Now, I don't know if I feel like I want to try to do, like, fix up the other 400. Instead, not all the pieces, and I don't really have all the pieces of that one, but maybe I'll try to go for it, like, at a later time or something. I honestly don't know. And then going on to EF6019 Unit 2. Now, as for this one, I had the extra motor when I was ordering those other pieces of the remaining pieces for EF6019 Unit 1 that I ended up getting extra. Eventually, I got the remaining pieces to that train, but there were a couple of things missing, saying that I needed. I think it was of the flat. I think I was missing the red wagon car, and the crate carrier pieces, so that was a bit disappointing. Eventually, I was able to get other parts, but that resulted in me getting a third unit of EF6019, so that was like another thing. Of course, but eventually, of course, the only thing I forgot to mention that what was missing from EF HGS-07, and that was like two little flat pieces on the flatbed carrier thing. And in the back, those two pieces are the newer ones that I replaced. And as well, I got the red wagon car which I ended up fixing up the remaining pieces of that train. So yeah, it wasn't that bad, I guess. And now we're going on into C12. Now, as for this train, I first had the blue passenger car as like a placeholder for D51 when I was trying to get that train's passenger car, because it was like really expensive as to get a loan on eBay. But eventually I did get it, and then eventually I had to, and I didn't know where that blue passenger car went to. Eventually, I figured out it belonged to C12, and I eventually got it completed for my birthday with the brown passenger car and the motor. Wasn't too bad. And now we are on. And then following up, we got the gray-wheeled red stripe variant of E2. Now, as for this one, when I first ordered it back in 2024, it was missing the intermediate car. That was the only piece I was missing. And I had to get like a whole new set to it. I mean, just one of those magnetic connector bits, kind of cool. I have a couple more other trains like that. Sadly, the yellow-wheeled red stripe variant isn't one of them. Kind of disappointing, but I was able to get that working right. So yeah, it worked out in the end, I guess. I was able to get the new full set. I salvaged up the motor for another train. I forget which one I used for that. Oh wait, I think I used it for the yellow-wheeled yellow-wheeled variant. I think I forget. And then now we are on to the Hypercity Fire Department Rescue Liner trains. Now with these ones, I only had their black car carrying flatbeds, and that was the only thing I had of them. The motor was missing. Eventually, I was able to get it. I got one normally, and then I got the other one on Easter. I got the Toma Hero expansion for one of them to show the difference between the two. And as well, this thing opens in the front, and this opens in the back. It'll carry along another two figures. And the firefighter figure is in one of these. Oh, there he is. Hello. A bit hard to keep track of all of these trains. And then finally, and I guess that wraps up the trains of 2024. Then the Thomas trains of 2024. There's 4 of them, along with for Thomas. But let's go on to for Percy. How I got these is when I was trying to complete up the remaining parts for EF6019 Unit 1, and as well while completing the Arctic Liner train and trying to complete up EF6019 Unit 2. But eventually, it led up to other crap. So Percy was only missing his yellow tank car. All these trains are just missing like passenger cars and everything. Percy was just missing the yellow tank car. Sir Handel and Thomas were missing their passenger cars. The first unit of Thomas, and Thomas Unit 2 is only missing the one passenger car. So it's pretty easy with these trains. It's nothing that bad. And then finally, last but not least, we have the trains of 2025. Now, this one is a lot more packed than the last. I gotta double check with which of these was the those in order. So give me a second. Okay, I double checked, and it was HES-04 Royal Red. We'll go over that later. Now, let's start out with the first one. The prime suspect was of EF6019 Unit 3. Now, as I was trying to look for the remaining pieces to finish up EF6019 Unit 2, I was able to find in the crate car that the crate carrier car that belonged to EF6019 unit, and I was trying to find for the secondary unit. Eventually, I got it. As well, I found out that it had the bottom half of the red wagon car, which is going to make things a bit frustrating. Eventually, I found a seller that could have gotten me the last of the pieces that I needed to finish up EF6019 Unit 2 and get the remaining pieces ending to flaps race HES-07, which wasn't that bad. As well, I also found out that it had like 2 other pieces that belonged to different version for EF6019, and I used those for the third unit of the orange flatbed, orange crate carrier thing, and the orange car flatbed that I used for that one. It was pretty easy for that train. And then I ended up getting a third motor when trying to wrap up those other trains, and it does work, I guess. So anyway, next is of HES-04. Now I only had the figure of this. I didn't know if I wanted to get the full set of this train, but of course it had to make sense because I had one figure and it came with another one. Of course, I got this for like a really good deal because the thing was a bit fractured and it's a little bit taped up, so I have to be extremely careful with this one. Otherwise, it might break and I may have to do whatever and everything. It's a bit frustrating with that. Now, next up is the Royal Red HES-03, the Royal Red variant of this one. I have 2 of them: the maroon colored one, and a Royal Red. Now, the only thing that I was the prime suspect of the cause was of the rear car, or with the ladders and everything. It was missing a ladder, and I only had the rear car of that. And it was missing a ladder and the other pieces, which was kind of frustrating with how I didn't manage to get that train done. But eventually I was able to figure out where it belonged to. I got the maroon variant, but it was in the wrong color. And we realized it was in the wrong color. Eventually I got the right one, and it works out well. And as well, and the front push car, it can switch, if you didn't know. Like this. So if you want to switch out from how it looks, like if you ever wanted to switch out with how it looks, you can just do that. Pretty simple. Well, for HES-03. Now, next up is HES-01. Now, for this train, it was a bit of a difficult situation. When I was getting the remaining pieces for EF6019 Unit 2 and HES-07, I got the top flap bit of the motor car. Pretty weird, I know. And I didn't know if I wanted to get, of course, I did kind of wanted to get this train because it did look futuristic. Eventually, I got a full set of the train and was able to complete it. It was missing the top flap, but I had that piece and it fit perfectly, but I didn't realize that there were 2 front flap clamps that I was missing, and apparently that threw off what I was looking for. Apparently that threw me off, so it got me, you had to force out my series even more on that one. That was pretty frustrating. Eventually, I did find a new full set, and that's what I use now. I'm selling the old one on Facebook Market, if anybody wants it. As well, I put the note about what the missing piece is on there. As well, I didn't have the figure or the little car that comes with. It's in here. In here, like showing you right here. Yeah. And then last but not least, it's of C6120 and D51200. Now, when it came down to wrapping up C12, I ordered this train from the Childhood Plarail store seller on eBay, and I ended up getting it did come with a motor, which worked out for that train, and I ended up getting passenger cars for C6120 and D51200, which resulted in me trying to get 2 more trains. Eventually, I got the other one for C6120 later on, and D51200 I got from the Totally Thomastown seller. Same thing with restoring E926 East. So I guess everything worked out in the end for the 2025 trains, and that wrapped up that lineup. Wow, that was a lot. And so with that, guys, that wraps up yet another status update for the Childhood Plarail. This vlog for the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series. I hope you have all enjoyed this vlog. If you guys did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload a brand new video. And this is a 47 out of 50 trains I've been restoring from 060 Yukata's line. I mean, from during the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series. I only have the duplicates of 883's blue variant and 922's non-light variant. And as well the secondary unit of Thomas. Missed from 2024. After those 3 trains are done, then I'm just going to be adding silver and gold plated trains for these groups of the Childhood trains, the 2023 trains, 2024 trains, and 2025 trains. After that, then the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series will finally be over, and then I can start my 100 trains grand tournament, and then I guess take a break from all my Plarail videos for a while. This series has definitely been a pain on me, but at least I'm glad that this is almost over. So I think guaranteed that I will have the Childhood Plarail Trains Restoration series over before the end of the year. Maybe. I think. I don't know. It's just 3 trains left, and then the silver and gold plated ones, and then that's it. So hopefully it shouldn't be too much. But anyway, guys, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all later. I'll see you all later for the next episode, and then after that, I will see you all next. And then, of course, with the next video with Tom, just getting his passenger cars, and then the video before Collecticon, and then whenever I get the next train and whatever. And I will see you all, and then I guess after whatever, everything else, I will see you all next time. Bye!